Hey MotoAmerica fans, this is Cam Peterson. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the MotoAmerica YouTube channel for more coverage. Also like and comment.
You're locked into the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship, our third round for 2021, race number 2 of the MotoAmerica Superbikes at Road America from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Hello everyone and welcome to the Supersport program, race 2 of our third round of this championship. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time world champion Jason Pridmore. And Jason, yesterday's race was probably one of the most entertaining we've seen in MotoAmerica history.
34 lead changes between two guys, and then Stefano Mesa comes over the ridge going into turn 5 and sees the two leaders laying in the gravel trap. Unbelievable finish. Mesa comes out with the win, which was, I think, great for the whole paddock. Everybody likes to see him win, but these two guys put on one great show for us yesterday, Richie Escalante and Sean Dillon Kelly, and it really was like this for the majority of the race. Escalante told us he kept on breaking a little deeper, but didn't matter. Sean Dillon Kelly was going to go in there even more fast. But this is the one that I think Escalante will look at and think, man, if he could have just somehow kept it up. Sean Dillon Kelly thought that he had taken out Richie Escalante. In fact, they were two kind of separate incidents with a distraction that probably caused Escalante to just lock up that front brake, but it was this guy taking the win.
Stefano Mesa, his first win, and here's a look at the results this season, and you can see for Mesa, he's occupied each spot on the podium, first, a second, then a third, and then that surprise victory. But for Mesa, well, he had a chance to talk to Jamie Howe about how exactly his celebration went after his first MotoAmerica win.
Watching the celebration of Stefano Mesa getting his first win is something most people that were in victory lane will never forget. Stefano, for you, you've now had several hours to process the events from yesterday. What do you think you're going to remember most?
I don't know, just the whole situation. I mean, since the beginning of the race, they were going so hard at it. I kind of was expecting something to happen. How I said, I didn't expect both of them to go down, but it ended up being that way, and it turned out in my favor. Nobody wants nobody to crash, but I mean, I'm happy to take the win, you know. It's racing, and at the end of the day, you got to cross the finish line to finish the race, right?
You have another race today. What did you pick up on yesterday that'll help race 2?
Definitely my setup wasn't there. We've been struggling to find a good feeling on the bike this weekend, so we did massive changes from yesterday to today to see if we find a little something. So I guess we're just going to go out there and test it and see what happens.
Stefano Mesa now a winner, looking to be a repeat winner, Hannah.
Well, Jamie, so far this season, we've seen Sam Lochoff make huge progress on this new team with this new motorcycle. And yesterday, he achieved his career first podium in the class. Sam, tell us about it.
Yeah, I'm still kind of in shock, you know. I was running in a solid 4th place, and then when I saw those guys crash, I was like, oh, I'm in 3rd. Like, they were maybe like a second in front of me. I had one lap. And I was just like, this is a podium, I don't want to throw it away, but I can also improve this, because I was catching him throughout the whole race. And I was just happy with my whole pace in the whole race. So,
was there anything you were able to learn in yesterday's race that'll help better prepare you to replicate that podium today?
Yeah, I think just the confidence I got from yesterday, because, yeah, I was, like I said, I was chasing down 3rd and 4th place without them crashing. And that was just going to be my best finish to date anyway.
Well, congrats on your victory, and good luck today, guys.
Boy, Jason, Supersport is really starting to see some new stars emerge, and it is impressive, as is Road America.
Yeah, favorite track for all the riders for sure. Big, long front straightaway. It's so important in the first 30, 40 seconds of this lap from the start, because you want to get down into turn 5 clean, get into the spot you need to be, and then get your race really started as you head down towards turn 8. Turn 9 to 10 is the carousel, very famous. Run down to Canada Corner into turn 12. There are a lot of mistakes can be made there. We've seen races decided. Then you head back up the hill to turn 14. There you got to decide, do I want to lead or do I want to follow, and try to draft somebody to the finish line.
This track creates incredible racing, including what we saw yesterday as our leaders on the last lap threw it down the road. Today, Sean Dillon Kelly and Richie Escalante looking for some redemption to get to the checker flag first.
Well, we're here for it. We want to see another battle like that between Escalante and Sean Dillon Kelly. And that's not catching lightning in a bottle. They have had great battles over the course of the last couple of seasons, so it's not impossible to think that we could see a replica of that battle. The other question is, can the other pack stay closer to them? Yes, Mesa won because they went down. Mesa, Rocco Landers, Lochoff, and also Benjamin Smith, those are the guys who seem to be on the list to try to get to, pace-wise, Escalante and SDK.
And especially if they do what they did yesterday, Richie Escalante and Sean Dillon Kelly, passing each other every single corner can slow you up just enough where those guys behind them can stay in it. And I don't see any reason why we're not going to see the exact same race we seen yesterday with those two at the front. Any chance they're going to get, they're going to strike.
You're like Santa Claus. You give me exactly what I want. That's what I want to hear, that we're going to get another great battle like that. Rocco Landers, he has shown speed at times in bunches. Maybe hasn't put the whole weekend or the whole race together. He's had one podium. We're waiting for that breakthrough to really see the potential that we know he has come clear on the 600. Maybe this race is going to be the one.
He kind of had a rough start on Friday, had that crash. Actually talked to him about it. Went to, he caught a false neutral there, and then when he put it back into gear, you could see it.
Oh, boy.
I mean, it was a big crash, but nothing was a little sore. But he's just been a little bit off this week, and something he's going to learn from racing this class. There's going to be some struggles when you move up. He's having one of those weekends, but it's going to be one that he learns a lot. He's a fast learner on all the other bikes, so I expect yesterday he struggled a little bit. I expect today he's going to be much better. And
Rocco, a great personality here in the pits. He's a different kid. He doesn't give you the cookie-cutter responses when you ask him questions. And he was down there cheering the young riders on in the Mini Cup yesterday. And another up-and-coming talent, Benjamin Smith, got a podium at our last event in Virginia, and he's been fast all year.
It kind of started ever since the last half of last year. He was the guy that started moving into the top 5 and knocking on the door in the podium. And this year he's kind of made that another step. And he's been on the podium now a couple races, and he's been there almost every race this year in the top 5 and battling for the podium.
Benjamin Smith, a college student, and he actually says having to switch to virtual schooling has actually helped him quite a bit. He spent a lot more time of the winter down in the southeast so he could do a lot more training and riding, and it has definitely paid off those results early on in 2021. So riders getting a chance to look over this 4-mile beauty of a racetrack. There's Sam Lochoff right behind his teammate Sean Dillon Kelly. What kind of shot in the arm of confidence? We were just saw the interview there with Lochoff and Hannah Lopa. Could Lochoff replicate this?
I think so. He's been fast and just kind of improving every single weekend and starting to kind of put it all together. And even though he got on the podium yesterday, a couple guys crashed, but he had the speed to be the third place guy. So I think today he's probably going to be a little bit stronger. He's a young guy, so you're going to get better every day.
He was battling with Mesa, actually made a mistake through the chicane. If not for that, who knows? Maybe he would have been the one sitting in what ended up being the number 1 position. So a lot of talent making advances to the top of Supersport. But we anticipate another great battle at the top between Richie Escalante and Sean Dillon Kelly. Which one of those two will be stronger? Can anyone run with him? We're about to find out.
Today's Supersport coverage is sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Beautiful overhead shots from our Lucas Oil helicopter of MotoAmerica as middleweight Supersport machines are out on the track for their warm-up lap. Then we're going to grid and go, Jason. I mean, this one, if your heart's not pounding to find out what's going to happen.
Well, we know there's going to be a lot of lead changes between these two guys on the front row. I'm sure Sean Dillon Kelly starts from pole position with Richie Escalante. Stefano Mesa's outside that row 1. Sam Lochoff, Benjamin Smith, and Rocco Landers are going to be there on row number 2. A little further back onto the third row, we got Kevin Almeida, Carl Soltis, and Liam Grant, Nolan Lampkin, Alex Thermiotis, and Max Angles. And we have Dominic Doyle, Nate Minster, Jarrett Nassani. Back on to Matthias Daniel Petrati, CJ LaRoche, and Austin Miller. And then we got Zaragoza, Blackall, Nord, Schweiger, Capizzi, and Schwartz in row 8. And then Phil Horwitz will be rounding out the field.
25 competitors in all. Gives you a good look at how steep the hill is on the run up to start-finish line. All right, so 11 laps scheduled in this one. Yesterday, as we mentioned before, 34 lead changes before the final lead change, when Stefano Mesa was able to pass the incident in turn 5 on the final lap and win this one. So Richie Escalante.
Both these guys, Escalante and Kelly, were in the 18s again this morning. There were some guys that stepped up. Rocco was up there. Sam Lochoff was up there this morning in warm-up, as well as Nolan Lampkin. So Nolan, I think, went 21 flat this morning. So there's some guys that could get a little bit more interesting for the podium today.
It's time to get race 2 underway for Supersport. Reps are up and we're going. Turn 1 awaits. It's about being clean through the exit of turn number 5 as well. And it looks like Lochoff got a good launch. The 44 M4 X-Star Suzuki. And it's the young Sam Lochoff, the South African, who's going to lead us in. And Sean Dylan Kelly was a little wide and lost the front. And he might lose the position to Richie Escalante.
He's going to lose a couple positions as Benjamin Smith took advantage of that. Also, you can see Mesa there going up underneath Almeida for about 5th or 6th spot. But Lochoff leading his first 600 race. He's going to have Escalante probably draft him all the way down this straightaway. And he's going to put himself underneath Lochoff as they head down into turn number 5 for the first time.
M4 X-Star Suzuki, Sean Dylan Kelly is starting to recover. He puts himself into 3rd. Lochoff loses the lead. And there goes Richie Escalante with already 7 bike lengths as motorcycles streaming by our camera position. Turn 5, always difficult
Escalante
to
makes a mistake. Sorry, Greg. Escalante makes a mistake. We saw him do that in race 2 last year in that exact same spot. Got up into turn 6 a little bit deep. He was starting to stretch this gap. He doesn't know that right now that SDK is right behind his teammate and stuck a little bit. Is it now? Kelly goes up underneath in turn 8. Escalante's probably got about a half-second lead as they head down into the carousel for the opening lap.
With Sean Dylan Kelly with his head down after that little bobble in turn number 1. Now with all that distance to make up. Talking to SDK yesterday after the race, Jason, he said that he had some in reserve. And they were looking this morning in warm-up to do a slight gearing change to get him a little bit more acceleration. He was going to go down a tooth. But now, can SDK, Sean Dylan Kelly, M4 X-Star Suzuki, reel in Richie Escalante, the number 1 plate on that Honos Ride HVMC, sorry.
Easy to say, right? So
yeah, race team entry Kawasaki.
When you look right now, he's got to take, if he had a little bit in reserve, this is the best time to try to take advantage of that on brand new tires. Escalante doesn't know that he has any kind of lead at all. So Kelly can right now really get his head down. But look, Escalante's put together an absolutely perfect first lap. We'll look and see what the split is. This is also going to help young Sam Lochoff, seeing his teammate not disappear too far out into the distance. It will hopefully pull the 44 along a little bit quicker to get away from that chasing pack, which includes Mesa and Benjamin Smith just there behind him. Opening lap, 1.3 seconds for Escalante. So we'll look at our splits as they go and see if Escalante can still run these fast splits and get any further away from Kelly.
Sean Dylan Kelly looking awfully frantic on the gas right now, trying to close that gap, Jamie.
And getting that start that didn't help SDK is what he's probably thinking about right now. His strategy going into this race was to hold as tight to Richie Escalante as he could early on. He said that's what Richie does. That's his MO. He gets out into an early lead, and then nobody else can catch it. You can't sustain it. So his strategy was to get as close as he could and make him work for it, just like they had to do yesterday. He was very confident in that, but of course he didn't get that start that he needed.
And right now, Jamie, Escalante is just stretching it out even more. It's gotten a lot bigger than 1.3 seconds that it was when they came across the line. And as a rider in such a long track, it puts a lot of pressure on Sean to be able to try to make up that distance. You want to keep on trying to get into these corners deeper and harder and get out of the corners better. But when you continuously try to run in there a little bit faster, that's where the mistakes can get made. And you can see that Escalante has stretched this out purple on our screens, and he is literally dropping half a second in sector 2, almost a half a second quicker than the number 40.
All right, so Escalante putting his head down right now. Just trying to make sure that he doesn't give Sean Dylan Kelly an opportunity to close this gap. Pushing a bike off, I believe that's turn 2.
And because some of the laps are so long here at Road America, Greg, different than where we normally go. The pit boards most of the time will go based off of the lap before. Some of these riders will have spotters that'll be over in the chicane or into Canada corner that will radio back to the crew on the wall to let them know exactly what that lap is as far as the lead that they have. So Escalante, even though it was 1.3 and it looks like we had another rider down here, is that Liam Grant going into Canada corner. He's down, he is up and okay. But to finish my point, Escalante might be getting his splits, and now it is going to be 2.3, so he pulled a full second away.
Wow.
He just went 18 flat. So Richie Escalante has his head down here on race 2, doesn't want any part of that action that he had yesterday. But the pit boards here are so crucial, and depending on where your crew are radioing back, now he'll have an idea when he comes around next time if he's got 2+ or not.
Unbelievable. Richie Escalante just did 18 flat, Hannah.
And Greg, yesterday, Richie Escalante learned a couple things during that race, and for today, they wanted to improve that corner entry as far as setup goes in practice. He noticed a big difference. He said the front stability is much better, but I think part of the reason that he's pulling such a gap right now is because of a change in front tire choice. Yesterday, he ran the extra soft. Today, he's on that super soft. He tried it out in warm-up. He only got 5 or 6 laps on it, so he doesn't know how it'll go for the full race distance, but he said it gave him a lot of extra confidence for grip.
Well, and the key too, Jason, in thinking about that tire choice, is if he's able to build this larger gap, he's going to be able to dictate the pace and dictate how well he's able to keep that tire under control in terms of how he's going to punish it, the heat of the tire, all that stuff. So this really is working out in Escalante's favor.
Yeah, but you remember late yesterday in the race, these guys were still in the 18s, 18.4, I believe, with 2 laps to go. So a little bit cooler air temperature today, a little cooler track temperature today. The tires really shouldn't be an issue, even if that's the choice that he's made to run that extra soft front. We're still watching him pull away a 10th or so per sector here, 2/10 in sector 2 as they're now running down towards sector 3 in that back straightaway. Very, very hard to make up time. Definitely not giving it to Escalante yet, but it's going to be hard work for Sean Dillon Kelly to try to run this guy down here at the front.
Left part of your screen are live shots from our Lucas Oil helicopter, and you can see the difference between Escalante as he goes in and out of Canada corner, and there is Sean Dillon Kelly. So Escalante putting on a clinic right now, Jason. I mean,
yeah.
I just keep looking at the timing and scoring screens, looking at that 2:18 flat. Just so impressed with Escalante and what he's able to do. I mean, the motorcycle, his Kawasaki, is moving all over the place, but you could tell trying to play into his strategy of breaking free early on and creating that gap. That's a pit board. If you're new to MotoAmerica Supersport Racing, that's the information they're going to give the rider. And Jay,
and
3.
You saw he was 2.3 leading the lap prior, and they had already got +3 up on the board, knowing that's what it was. So they're getting their spotter is somewhere else on the track and being able to radio back. 3-second lead. Now, when you really go back and you look at the restart of this race, for Sean Dillon Kelly, he wheelied that bike a little bit, and it allowed his teammate to get up alongside of him. Then with a small mistake in turn 1, so legitimately the first 10-15 seconds of this race is what created that gap and made it a little bit hard for Sean to try to get back up there.
This is what the podium looked like yesterday, not in this order, as Sam Lochoff on the 44 and that M4XR Suzuki bike leads the 37 of Stefano Mesa. Mesa Racing, that family effort. He is right behind him in 4th, and then Benjamin Smith on the 88 in 5th position. And if you remember, it was these 3 that occupied the podium. Benjamin Smith on the Northeast Cycle Outlets Racing machine. And you know what, Jason, as I'm looking at timing and scoring, I'm kind of wondering where one of our star rookies, Rocco Landers, is. I don't see him.
15th.
Yeah.
You know, that's I'm looking at his last lap time by 22.1. So Rocco's still trying to figure out these 600s. You know, one of the guys he raced against last year, though, Sam Lochoff, going great right now in 3rd. Jamie, what you got for us?
A couple of different things have come into factors today to make a better result for Sam Lochoff. They changed the engine before the race yesterday. It's the same one he has in today, but yesterday they had no engine brakes. So they struggled with that, but then he also struggled with it a little bit in warm-up. So that was a little bit of a question mark. But he lost 3 seconds on the first lap in the race yesterday, and you saw that tremendous start that he had today. So he fixed that, but he's also been working with PJ Jacobsen on his endurance and his stamina. When he got to the end of the race, even despite the heat that we have out here at MotoAmerica, he still felt fresh, and he thinks that that's going to be one of his keys to a better result today. Hannah.
Well, Jamie, Stefano Mesa is keeping Lochoff honest right now. He got his first win yesterday, and even despite that result, they made a few setup changes, a big front end change for more grip to help with chatter. Stefano thinks he really has another podium in him. It's just a matter of pushing through that kind of mental fortitude. He is pulling double duty, racing multiple classes this weekend. He said physically he's feeling okay. It's just mentally he needs to really push himself to get this job done.
Yeah, and right now just Sam Lochoff stands between himself, a podium, and Mesa trying to get on that podium. But yeah, Stefano Mesa turning a lot of laps around Road America. But Jay, we saw last lap by that Sam Lochoff struggling a little bit with rear grip when he gets too aggressive on the throttle.
Well, Greg, he's down to the 19s today. 19.8 is Lochoff's best time. So you're seeing this progression of a young man that just keeps getting better. I love the report that Jamie gave. Knowing where you're at, and there's a good look at Rocco Landers a little bit further back. He's trying to make up some time as well as Rocco in 14th. But, closing that point, when you have guys like PJ Jacobson and Jake Zemke and those kind of guys around you, it's gonna feed off into a young mind like Lochoff. And those early laps, when you go back and you look at the timesheets afterwards and you see, hey, I lost like 3, 4, 5 seconds in those first 2 laps. Had I not done that, that would have been a lot better. Well, today it paid off for him to get that great start, and now he's going even quicker. And let's get back up to the leader here. 3.7 seconds that last time by for Escalante.
Looking really good and comfortable through the carousel into the chicane. That lead, 3.7 seconds. And if you're looking at Richie Escalante and the way he rides the motorcycle, it's where he's most comfortable. Having it move around like that. Is it the most efficient way? It is in this race. 2:18 flat, which is an incredibly fast lap for a MotoAmerica Supersport machine in the configuration it is now, but he did 2:18.3, Jason, the last time by the stripe.
Yeah, the low 18s now are a place that he can live in, and he's really happy with that. And you're going to see, we can't even see Kelly in the background. I love these overhead views. These shots coming from the helicopter here, we can really pull back and we can see where Kelly is there in relation to Escalante as he accelerates out onto that front straightaway. And he's going to have 6 laps to go when they come by this time. Let's have a look, Greg, and see what the lap time is this time when he comes across the stripe right about now. 18.7, so he's living in the 18s pretty easily right this moment.
There is Sean Dylan Kelly, number 40. He comes over the hill, and he's credited with a 2:19.4, so he loses another bit of time. Now it's 4.4 seconds. And the battle for third. Lochoff gets his first podium yesterday in fine style after the miscue from Escalante and Kelly. Looking for another one today.
And yesterday he was chasing Mesa and Benjamin Smith, if you remember. We kept on seeing him kind of getting back into that race, and he was chasing them. Today he's leading them, and so he is dictating the pace of those 2 guys that were ahead of him yesterday. So it's good stuff from him. Escalante gets the thing sideways as they roll into turn 5.
Yeah, the one thing you want to think about, too, with Sam Lochoff is that he came from the smaller displacement motorcycles from the SportBikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup category. So not only is he learning how to ride these motorcycles, he's learning how to communicate with his crew to set the motorcycle up. And having someone like Mesa in front of you to set the pace, not only did he learn that, but as the bike improves, that's why we're seeing now lap times in the 2:19s. Now, for the 44 in the M4 X-Star Suzuki, settled into 2:20.7 last lap by, more along the lines of the pace they were running yesterday. But looking at the times yesterday, there were no 2:19s done by Lochoff or Mesa.
No, both these guys have stepped it up a little bit, but the 2 in front just have that little bit extra pace. And you can see here as they come out of the carousel, I like the fact that Sam's able to let this bike move around a little bit underneath him. You can see he's fairly small stature, and there you go. He got in there just a little bit deep, but not going to hurt him too much to come out of the chicane there. But I like seeing the bike sliding and moving around. That's going to just give him a lot of confidence, a lot of good throttle control that he's going to continue to work on and take as he gets more into his career. He'll be able to take that to even the bigger displacement bikes in the future.
The battle for third. 5.5 laps to go in Supersport race number 2. Number 44 is Sam Lochoff leading the way, showing Stefano Mesa where the clean air is. The number 37 already with a victory this weekend in Supersport competition. Behind them on the 88 is Benjamin Smith. Kevin Olmedo, one of our rising stars in Supersport, in 6th. Nolan Lampkin in 7th. Soltis, Max Angles, and Nate Minster, your top 10. So Jay, 5 laps to go. Anything you're seeing right now from Mesa? He doesn't look like, you know, he's overriding the motorcycle to stay with Lochoff. It feels to me more like he's studying him.
Look, there's nobody in the paddock that races more than Mesa. We've said that in past telecasts that, you know, he races every weekend almost. Any weekend that there's Kawasaki contingency money out on the line, you'll find Mesa at a racetrack somewhere. Right now, he knows that he doesn't have a lot of pressure behind him. He's not going to be able to really catch those guys in front. So it's a bit of a waiting game, I think, for Mesa right now as he follows Sam Lochoff down into turn 5. He knows he's got a young rider that he's going to be trying to get by here late in the race. He'll do a couple of runs here, I think, Greg, to see if he's able to draft by.
And Jason, Sam Lochoff, you know, I caught up with team owner of M4XR Suzuki yesterday, John Ulrich, and he was just singing Lochoff's praises, saying how they're so happy with the progress he's made. He's a really quick learner. He's learning how to communicate really well to the team what he needs, as Greg was saying, and they're really proud of the progress he's made, and that was before he even got his first podium. So, you know, right now he's going to duplicate that result as it stands at the moment, and he's really showing them why they picked the right guy for the job.
You know, Hannah, the progress that's been made is, you know, when I look at it from the outside looking in, he's got a very experienced team. His progress even at round 1 was amazing. But, you know, our loss in not seeing PJ and Leathers racing each weekend is really Sam Lochoff's gain, because I know they spent a lot of time and have been spending a lot of time together.
PJ Jacobson,
yeah. And I think that for me, looking at that, those are the 2 big keys. When you have an experienced team around you and a good bike, and then you have a guy with a lot of experience like PJ Jacobson, it's just going to help Sam all the way around, Sam Lochoff.
Talking about the 44 on that blue and white Suzuki GSXR 600 M4XR Suzuki team with a Kawasaki of Mesa right behind him. A family effort, mom and dad helping out. The 37. Mesa looking for another podium appearance in Supersport. Only Stefano Mesa has had a first, second, and third place finish so far this season. There have been 3 different race winners in this class: Sean Dillon Kelly, Richie Escalante, and Mesa. So for Sean Dillon Kelly in second spot, he's now 6.5 seconds adrift of Richie Escalante, and then there's this battle for third place. And right now it's a 2-rider horse race at this point, isn't it, Jason? Between Lochoff and Mesa, as Benjamin Smith has started to drift back about 2.4 seconds. He'd been hanging tight for quite a while, but now starting to lose touch. But for Benjamin Smith on the 88, he's got about a 5-second gap back to Kevin Olmedo.
There's Rocco Landers coming out of turn number 1. Looks like he's got Nate Minster just behind him, and right behind Nate Minster looked like Dominic Doyle. So we didn't actually get to see what happened to Rocco early in the race. Obviously there was something had happened, but you look at his lap times now, Greg. Last time I checked, he was in the 21s, 21 flat last time by. So he's still doing his fastest laps as he's coming through people.
Yeah, and for Rocco Landers, he's the 5th fastest rider on the track currently and working his way through traffic. So we'll see if Landers has more positions in him.
Nolan Lampkin, Carl Schultz, which is a great result right now for Carl. He's in 8th, and Max Engels just went through our screen. There's a good look again at our leader, Richie Escalante, still in the 18s, 18.9 that last time by, continuing to push, 6.5 seconds out.
7 laps in the books for Escalante. Now is that kind of time when we're going to be looking at that front tire, different tire choice, to see if it's holding up for Escalante at the pace that he's been running most of the time, just in the mid to high 18s after laying down that 218 flat back on lap number 2. So Richie Escalante, uncharacteristically off the podium twice so far this season in 5 races. When he has been on the podium, it's a win and 2 second place finishes. Your championship winner from last year. That's why he's running that number 1 plate. Here he comes up the front straightaway to complete another lap. There'll be 3 to go for the resident of Hidalgo, Mexico, Richie Escalante, on the Honos Ride HVMC Racing Team Kawasaki. And there's the M4XR Suzuki rider of Sean Dillon Kelly. Now, Jason, 7.2 behind.
Yeah, and that was the first lap I've seen Richie dip into the 19s, and that was a 19 flat. So, you know, he's got two and 3/4 laps to go. He knows where he's at. He's got his pit board giving him the stuff that he needs to see. And, you know, I'm not saying he's backing off because it's from an 18 flat to a 19 flat. I mean, around a 4-mile-long track, 1 second is really nothing. But he's going to continue to push on. We've seen this out of him before, where he doesn't like to slow down, does he? He doesn't like to just kind of pace himself to the finish, even if he's built up a big lead.
Well, take us into the psychology of that, Jason, because, you know, why would a rider be like that? What happens to some riders if you do slow down?
Well, you've heard other sports talking about people being in the zone, and sometimes when you slow down, it slows everything down, and it makes your timing get a little bit off. And I think that for somebody like Escalante, that just really rings true. Other guys are able to pull out a 6-7 second lead and then just kind of match the lap times of what everybody else is doing. But for this guy, he likes to continue to push. It keeps him sharp, keeps him focused, and keeps his concentration level at a place that it needs to be.
So Richie Escalante into the chicane. Hannah, what do you have on Richie?
Greg, Jason, just to kind of add on what you were talking about, why he would be pushing so hard this late in the race, you know, in speaking with him yesterday, he said normally he's kind of a bigger picture type of rider. He likes to take things one race at a time and not really look at the points. But as you mentioned earlier, you know, it's uncharacteristic for him to be off the podium twice so far already this season. And I think he's understanding a little bit of urgency to try and earn back some of those points.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting, Jason, is as we look at Richie Escalante and the dominating performance he's had so far, one thing to keep in mind was Richie Escalante hadn't won a race until last year.
Yeah.
He hadn't won a race in Supersport till last year, and he won 13 times last year. And that's what one great season will do. It's like, wait a second, the guy's off the podium. But really, Escalante was clawing for a podium for years in this series, and then made a switch to Kawasaki and this Honos team, and then all of a sudden, it's the Escalante we see with the #1 plate on.
It certainly is, but that number 40 is having a great year as well. We can't take anything away from what Sean Dylan Kelly has done this year, doing the double in Atlanta and that kind of thing. So, you know, here you go. Here he is. And I already know the interview this kid's going to have. He's going to be a little bit bummed, but he's going to work hard. He's going to get to the ridge with his team. They're going to put their heads back down. He hasn't lost that much here. It's going to be, what, a total of 6 points, I believe. It'll be 6 points, Greg, that he'll lose total on Escalante. That's not that bad.
And for SDK, he's taking a different mental approach to this season, and he's not thinking so much about how do I get to Richie, how do I go that fast. He's trying to be a better racer, and then that in itself will result in more race wins. We've already seen it unfold these early stages of the race, and one thing that he learned yesterday when they were in that battle together was that Richie was better in the turn 6 and turn 7 combination. He was also better at the exit of turn 13, and those were the 3 areas that Sean Dylan Kelly came into this race wanting to focus on. Now he has the track all to himself. He can ride it, he can figure it out, he can work on those things and stay within his own mindset of just becoming better.
And that's really the long play, isn't it, Jason? When you look at it and you say, he knows that this is round 3 of 9 for the season. Look ahead. Where can I start working on improving this motorcycle? And that's really critical. And that shows the maturation of a young racer.
Yeah, and you know that you're going to be racing this guy all year long, and there's going to be times when, you know, I mean, every racer wants to win every single race. But I'm sure if you looked at Richie, he would tell you, God, it's going to be really hard to win every race against SDK, and it's the same thing in reverse. So these guys are going to be trading wins, and it's going to be your bad days. Yesterday could have been a really bad day for both of them. They were able to pick their bikes up and get points. So, you know, when you look at it, it's just going to be one of those things. And they're both pretty intelligent, I mean, really intelligent riders. Sean Dylan Kelly, once this gap got to 3 seconds, probably settled in, even though he's trying, and probably said, hey, I got to take these 20 points.
Yeah, because obviously yesterday they know, like everyone else in the Supersport class, that anything can happen. And a lot of riders settle into a pace, and they're on the last lap, and they're thinking, great, I've got this position, whether it was 10th or 3rd, all wrapped up. And then all of a sudden the 2 leaders go down, and everybody gets bumped up a couple positions, and that is huge. For Richie Escalante, he's trying to, Nolan Lampkin.
He's got the grass is on fire, so.
All right, great job by our crew, track crew.
Here. Oh, he goes into the chicane, loses the front, cuts across the track, probably can't get goes right into the air fence. Wow.
Wow.
I figured Nolan would have jumped by then, but augured it into the air fence there. Thank goodness for that air fence.
Absolutely. Wow. All right, looks like Richie Escalante. You can see left part of your screen on the pylon there is our scoring. Escalante, Kelly, Lochoff, Mesa, Smith, Olmedo. On the final lap for Richie Escalante, the white flag is flying. What a master class he has put on in this one. Hasn't put a foot wrong. Haven't seen a lead change, Jason, all race long.
Well, he just got underneath Lochoff into 5 right at the beginning. Lochoff led it, and then Escalante set sail, but it was a little bit of a bad start from the 40 and of Sean Dillon Kelly, and then this guy just put his head down. I mean, 18 flat. I mean, that's really, really fast around this track, and he's got about half a lap to go.
So for Richie Escalante, coming into this race, he was 16 points behind Sean Dillon Kelly in this championship. And we've seen Supersport be decided by a point or two. He's going to claw back 5 points on Sean Dillon Kelly if it ends up this way. The number 1 plate. Into Canada corner he goes. Nursing a 10-second lead on this final lap. Only 5 weeks ago, Richie Escalante found himself on the ground in a training incident off a bicycle. Broken collarbone, had it plated. He's still on the road to recovery. The bones are still on the mend. But for Richie Escalante and his crew, it's going to be all smiles and pain-free. Up the hill he comes towards the checkered flag. Head down behind the bubble, and Richie Escalante will get his 2nd win of the 2021 season. We await the arrival of Sean Dillon Kelly as he comes across the line. Then there's this battle for 3rd, and it's Mesa who gets by Lochoff. Can he hold it to the line? He does. So Mesa on the podium again. His 4th of the season. And he'll get that by 88 thousandths of a second in another drag race as Benjamin Smith barely edges out Kevin Olmedo to hold on for 5th spot.
Great to see Kevin Olmedo back. Obviously, we didn't get to see him the first 2 rounds. Benjamin, I'm not sure what happened there towards the end of the race. He started running some 22s and a little bit higher, and it allowed Olmedo doing 21s to catch up. But for this guy today, dominating performance by our defending champion. You can see Mesa and Lochoff having a chat. So it looked like Mesa just probably did something there on the last lap to get past Sam Lochoff. A lot of mutual respect between those two.
Heads up ride by Sean Dillon Kelly, not to push beyond the limits. But Richie Escalante, fastest lap of the race and fastest lap we've seen around Road America on a Supersport machine since a rules change a few years ago. Track record owned by one Garrett Gerloff in the 217s before he got on Superbikes. So Supersport machines still looking for track records, but nonetheless, Richie Escalante, a 9.5 second victory and a full 25 points scored in race number 2 here at Road America in Supersport. Rocco Landers, for all you Rocco Landers fans, the 16-year-old, already 2-time national champion, was able to recover up into 7th place. So good job, Jason, by Rocco Landers. He also had the 5th fastest lap of the race as he continues to develop in his rookie season in Supersport. Just ahead of him, just behind him, Carl Soltis. Result for Carl, 8th place.
Listen, when you look at the 97 and the head down and he's bumming, he's had so much success, and now he's just having a few growing pains, and this is kind of the part of it that can sometimes happen, and he's going to put it together on a weekend there coming up shortly. And I'm looking at his lap times, Greg. He ran a 2:20.7 as his best lap of the race, and he ran a 2:20.8 on his last lap. So it's not going to be long. He's going to get it figured out.
Yeah, he'll definitely get it figured out. This guy definitely has it figured out. As Richie Escalante trying to defend that number 1 plate, now finds himself 11 points adrift of Sean Dillon Kelly in the championship. When we come back, we're going to talk to Richie Escalante and find out how his race was. Hang tight.
MotoAmerica Live Plus coming your way here. Cool down lap after a race in Supersport that was not quite as close as what we saw yesterday. Richie Escalante found another level today.
Whatever he did overnight came out today was so fast. Even when he had a big lead, I was pointing to you, showing you the lap times. He stayed into 2:18 to 2:19 flat every single lap, even with a 6, 7, 8 second lead, and rode a perfect race. Got away, executed the plan, didn't let anybody else stay in the draft. Sean Dillon Kelly had that mistake in the first turn, lost some time, and that was pretty much the race.
What can you get? Can you expect someone to gain that much overnight? Because literally overnight he found more pace.
And even when he qualified at a 2:18.7, and then in the race you come out and you're starting to, your race pace is low 2:18. So maybe it's just getting more comfortable with the bike and coming back from the collarbone and all that stuff. He's just kind of finally starting to get his rhythm. And even yesterday, maybe that lit a fire under him, crashing yesterday. And then also, Sean stuffing him all the time. And today he came out swinging, and it's not going to be like this every race. He was the better man today, and next race it could be totally different with Sean Dillon Kelly.
When Escalante won the second race, his first of the year at the last event in Virginia, he said, "I think we saw the real Richie today." So his confidence is definitely brewing. Meanwhile, Sean Dillon Kelly will at least maintain the series lead. I'm sure he expected it was going to be a dogfight for this title, and that's exactly what we've got now.
He's going to be disappointed. I mean, if you would have battled with him the whole race and got second, it'd be different. Not being 9 seconds back is going to sting a little bit more, but he did the smart thing. Didn't have the pace or whatever he was struggling with today. Don't push it over the limit. Still get 20 points. Live to fight another day.
Okay, so there's your series leader. The big change-up in this series was Escalante with a huge crash early in the series when we were in Atlanta. He had to go to his last year's race bike, a backup bike. He struggled in Atlanta. Then he had the broken collarbone, but now he has won 2 out of 3, but still with some points to make up on Sean Dillon Kelly, and that's not easy to do because SDK, if anything, has been super consistent this year, so he's not handing over points in bunches. It should be a good battle. And we also had a duel down to the line. Stefano Mesa making it happen again.
Didn't see the pass for the podium, but what another ride by Stefano, man. Coming in here, being a podium contender in 2 different classes has to be really difficult, and also working on his own bike and stuff. So hats off to him. He's doing great, and it's a really cool story. Everybody loves the underdog story. Stefano Mesa definitely fits that bill. And what about Sam Lochoff? What a great ride by him. Even though yesterday he got on the podium, today was still probably a little bit better ride. He was a podium guy when everybody stayed up, lost it on the last lap, but still phenomenal ride by him.
Yeah, Lochoff, big gains this weekend compared to where we saw him in Atlanta and Virginia. So we've got another contender for the podium. You love this group back there. Lochoff, Mesa, Smith. Rocco Landers could have been in it today, but we're not sure what happened. We saw him basically last at the beginning of the race. He came all the way back for 7th.
Something must have happened on that first lap. We seen him when he came around. He wasn't on the timing board.
Yep, that was a good comeback for him, and we'll send it back.
Today's Supersport race coverage has been sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Beautiful Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. You've got to get up here this time of year. It is one of our favorite destinations. Let's take a look at the results from Supersport. You just saw Escalante 9.5 seconds over Sean Dillon Kelly. Mesa squeaked out that podium over Lochoff. Benjamin Smith barely got it over Olmedo. Good to see Olmedo right back in the mix as well. And Landers. All right, let's get right down to Hannah in winner's circle.
Well, Greg, it is the second victory of the season for Richie Escalante. He got a great start and set sail early on. Richie, once you start to gap the field and settle into your pace, what's going through your mind?
Yeah, for sure. After yesterday, very fun race today. I think yesterday very fun to watch. Yeah, today I changed the front tire to a little bit more softer, so I feel a little bit better. Have more confidence. So in the first lap, I push my 100%, and they make a very good lap. And after that, just consistent. So I'm so happy. Thanks to my Honor Racing team, Hudson Valley, on my race Kawasaki, always is amazing. I love this team. So yeah, it's time to try to more progress and more consistent every victory. So yeah, I'm so happy right now, and yeah, let's go for the next one.
Congratulations, Richie. Guys.
Yeah, and he's going to have 2 more weeks to heal up, or almost 2 full weeks in terms of that collarbone. So things are only going to get faster for Escalante.
Yeah, a little bit worried yesterday after he fell on that collarbone, but with the plate in there, it'll make it pretty strong. And I was just glad to see he was okay last evening.
All right, let's get down to Jamie, who has our second place finisher.
And Sean Dylan Kelly, as we talked about, had big plans of not letting Richie build a gap. You did not have the start that you wanted, though. How did that affect the rest of your race?
Yeah, today was much different than yesterday. Yesterday was a great race, a hard fight, but we made a mistake at the end and we wanted to build off of that. We had another chance today, but the start was not good today. Made a mistake into turn 1, and then I got a few guys past me, and after that Richie just started building a gap. I couldn't catch back up, but the lap times were very fast. Either way, I had some problems today, and with the bike, something that we changed didn't really turn out how we were expecting, and wasn't able to do what I wanted. But either way, these are races, and I know we're just going to build from here. We've got another shot the next round, and we're just going to go in hard and keep on working. So really happy with either way with our work. Thank you to my whole team, M4XR Suzuki team, RI, Fresh and Lean, everyone's helping me out, my family, my mom's here, my dad, everyone, my girlfriend, my sister, everyone watching from home. Mike, thank you for everything you already know, and I want to dedicate this one to Jason, who I have here on my helmet. We miss you and hope to see you. Thank you.
It's still a solid day for some points. Our second place finisher, Sean Dylan Kelly. Greg.
Yeah, and that's really Jason. He walks out of here still with the championship points lead.
20 points. If you'd have told him when he came in here that he was going to have a tip over and only lose 6 points on the weekend, he would have taken that. And good result today. Things weren't quite maybe as good as they were yesterday for him, so he ends up second. Let's get back down to Hannah.
Following up his first ever career Supersport victory yesterday, Stefano Mesa back on the podium, taking our 3rd spot. Talk a little bit about your battle with Sam Lochoff. How were you able to overtake him and make it stick?
Yeah, it was a great race. It was kind of lonely by Sam and me. I knew Ben was behind us, but he couldn't really latch on. So I just planned my race smart. I just got off the big bike, so I was a little tired, and just not try to work not so much, and maybe try and do that move in the last lap, and it worked. My hat's off to KWS, Mike Fitzgerald, my family, Mesa 37 Racing, Steven, K-Tech, everybody that puts a little bit into this effort. I think it's a good thing, and we're making progress, and I think we're going to be there eventually, right?
And Stefano, what are your plans moving forward? What are you looking to do for the future? Are you going to be continuing out the season with MotoAmerica?
So I'll be missing the next race at the Ridge, but I'll be at Laguna. I'm not sure if I'll be racing both classes, but the plan is sending the 600 to race the Supersport class in Laguna, so hopefully I'll see y'all there.
Thanks, Stefano. A successful weekend for Stefano Mesa, who's running both Stock 1000 and Supersport classes. Guys.
Yeah, it was a heck of a weekend for him, and I'll tell you what, Richie Escalante going to celebrate this one, but Mesa 3rd in the points, not showing up. We'll talk more about that on the other side.
Jason Wygant and Roger Hayden here in the booth for MotoAmerica Live. Plus, kind of a bummer to hear that Mesa won't be able to capitalize on this momentum he gained this weekend. Might miss the next race because he's really got a good thing going right now.
He really is, and every weekend you can tell he's just kind of carrying that momentum. He's been all year. He's just been so strong. Whatever he did this offseason is really working for him this year. So it's going to be disappointing not to see him at the Ridge. You know, it's going to be another guy that's going to be out of the mix. But so far, he's provided us with some great racing this year, a really great story, a guy that's taking on the bigger teams and doing it well.
Yep, Mesa, 2 podiums this weekend, one of them a win. But Escalante and Kelly kept it on 2 wheels this time, although SDK going to have some work to do, as Escalante has definitely found his form again after some disappointment in the first couple of races this year. We're wondering now, we were talking about it during the break, I wonder what the future plans really for Richie Escalante are. I'm sure right now the goal is obviously to defend this championship, but I wonder what he wants to do after this. Come back for more or move up?
I think he definitely wants to move up to Superbike, and I'm sure a lot of these guys, their goal is to go to Europe, or MotoGP or World Superbike, but first of all, I think his goal is to win this title again this year, and next year move up to Superbike. Whether or not the Honos team goes Superbike racing next year, I know he's really close to the owners, and the people who put that program together really help him out. So I'm not sure maybe they're looking at going Superbike racing, or I'm sure all the other teams, when they're looking for another rider, he's kind of the next younger guy, and this is a class where you'll see a lot of those guys look for the next rider. Sean Dillon Kelly, I think, is the same way. They want to take the next step.
Okay, so we'll see what the future holds for everyone here in the Supersport class. And speaking of future, we will have an even younger set of riders that will be racing next. The Sport Bike Track Gear Junior Cup will be our next race here. 2 to go here at an epic weekend at Road America. We'll, of course, cap it with the Honos Superbike class. That'll be our final race of the weekend. I got to say, it's my first visit to Road America. I've anticipated this for a long time. Always wanted to come here. It really delivers. It's not just hype. This place is legit.
This is a place everybody looks forward to, not just the track, the atmosphere, the city that we come to. Everything is just so cool. The fans here are great as well. They've always been like that. We've always had huge crowds, and they're really passionate about the sport. And you see a lot of these fans come here year after year, and it's just it was always Road America was just always one of those fun places that you look forward to coming to.
Yeah, talking to Roland Sands when we had him in the booth earlier, he was talking about the King of the Baggers program, but what impressed him was that the fans really seem knowledgeable. It's not just, the motorcycles are in town, we'll check it out for one weekend. These are people who are pretty dedicated, and a lot of them bringing their own bikes to the track.
There's so much they get to do here. You can go ride around on your pit bike, go see different corners. You're not like at a sporting event where you buy a seat and you're stuck in one spot. You can go check out every corner.
Yeah, we had some demo rides here as well, and some great displays. So fans got a lot to check out, and it's not over because we still have 2 races to go. Junior Cup, and we'll cap it with Honos Superbike before the day's over here at MotoAmerica.
Richie Escalante making his way to the top step on the podium. That is one happy number 1 plate, Jason Pridmore.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, when you see what Richie did today, he just did exactly what he needed to do. What a national champion does, he gets that good start, gets out, takes advantage of a bad start from Sean Dillon Kelly today and pulls away to a 10-second victory.
Yeah, and Jay, really also a lesson learned for that team in terms of tire choice, because he felt a lot more comfortable with the tire, the front tire specifically, that he was getting after, and it really seemed to work for him.
Well, that front end feel is everything for a rider, and if you don't have that, that's a big problem. So they tried that in warm-up. It worked well for him today, and he was able to keep his head down nearly that whole race. He ran the whole race nearly in the 2:18s.
And less than 2 weeks' time, we're going to be at the Ridge Motorsports Park, and what's great about that, Jason, is that on Thursday, before MotoAmerica race weekend starts Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's actually going to be a Dunlop test. So more information going to be gathered by all these riders.
Yeah, those guys are going to be able to go up there and do some of that. We never really know what the weather's going to be like up in the Pacific Northwest. It can be very unpredictable. So getting those guys on that track on Thursday could be a really good thing, and they'll continue to push the development of those Dunlop tires.
And that's an important test because the Ridge is freshly paved, is it not?
It is, yeah. And I think that after last year, there were some things that were learned, and I think that we're going to go back there hopefully this year, put on an even better event. The racing should be pretty tight there.
All right, let's take a look at the highlights from this race, because really, Jason, if you look at this one, it was all about this race start.
That's it. I mean, when you watch number 40 here, he's gonna start wheeling like right there, just out of our screen. That allowed his teammate Sam Lochoff, amazing start. But then look at SDK, loses the front twice. That little tiny mistake allowed Escalante to get down that straightaway a little bit better than the rest of the field, and you can see this gap opening up. Sean Dillon Kelly tries to go up underneath Lochoff here and gets the pass made, but the damage is already done. There was already a half second to 6/10 gap. You lose the draft at Road America, and it's very hard to make up. Compound that by the fact that you made a small change on the bike and it didn't work. That's going to be the other thing. And we saw these other two going all the way down to the line with Lochoff and Mesa. Mesa just was kind of lining up Lochoff to the end of the race, and it looked like he was able to get by him going here into turn 1. But at the end of the day, it's all about Richie Escalante with that number 1 plate, taking a 10-second victory and a pile of points.
And those points have translated to this championship standings. Sean Dillon Kelly still leading the way on 125 with Richie Escalante 11 behind. Jason, you mentioned earlier, if you said to Sean Dillon Kelly, hey, you're only going to lose 6 points and hit the deck, would you take it? Well, he's taking it this weekend. Stefano Mesa, who's not going to be at our next round, in 3rd position. The question is, will Sam Lochoff score enough points to be able to take over 3rd as our M4XR Suzuki regular? Benjamin Smith in 5th with Rocco Landers in 6th, just a point behind. So those two starting to battle it out for the top 5. Let's get right down to Jamie Howe.
And Sam Lochoff signing some autographs here for the fans. That was an inspired start that you got. You were able to lead your first moments on a 600 bike, but they got passed right at the end of the race. What was the biggest challenge you overcame today?
Yeah, you know, my starts have always been extremely good, and especially in the 400, I just always nail my starts. The 600s are pretty different. You have to drag a clutch a little more. But yeah, when I got into the turn at first, I was like, first time I'm ever leading a 600 race. Not many people do that.
When we just saw the points that spread the way it is right now, you're in 4th right behind Stefano Mesa, who we know now will not race at the Ridge. What becomes your goal in your first season in Supersport now?
My goal hasn't really changed since before the first race. You know, the first race I just wanted to finish within a certain amount of time from the leader, and that's just my goal. Now I'm just trying to chip away from that time.
How close do you think you are now?
After that race, it must have been at least 16, 17 seconds from Richie.
All right, well, it was a solid run for you today. Enjoyable to watch.
Thank you. Well done, Stefano.
All right, so a little compliment there because, yeah, I know he's disappointed to not get on the podium, especially after yesterday. But, Jason, you know what? That's good from Sam Lochoff to say, look, all right, you got it, Stefano. But at this point, if you're Lochoff, I think you're kind of licking your chops saying, all right, we're going to go to the Ridge. I'm going to get a nice test there, which is going to be critical for him and the M4XR Suzuki team because he hasn't been there on a Supersport machine before.
But he's looking at the good thing. He's looking at his distance from the race winner to his position. So even when you take a young man like that, if he finishes on the podium today, he's still going to be looking at how far down the track were the leaders from where I'm at and just continue to chip away and close that gap. I think it's a very mature way of looking at things, and that's what's really going to help him advance.
So all eyes on Sam Lochoff as he develops in this class, having a great season so far. In Supersport, we're going to be back in about 2 weeks' time to see what happens in round number 4 from the Ridge. So for right now, we appreciate you watching. And for Hannah Lopa, Jamie Howe, and Jason Pridmore, I'm Greg White. Thanks so much for watching race number 2, Supersport. It's done and dusted from MotoAmerica. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Let those fans snap all those pictures, and those fans are going to start making some noise.